This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
He is ready to go, hotel and all. How you feeling? Feeling good?
I've been a prisoner in this hotel now for like a full week. It's crazy, like you mentioned on your crosstalk, playing the same team in the same city twice, coming directly from Atlanta, literally got here on Monday, don't get out until Saturday. It has a little bit of a playoff feel, but sort of like you mentioned, they're not playoff stakes. So it's just a little bit different to be playing the same team like this. And their series now with Boston will be over by the end of January. So when it comes to February, March, April, and you want to get a sense of where you stack up, you won't know until you possibly see the Celtics again in the playoffs. So it is unique scheduling. And again, I understand from the perspective of less travel is better for NBA players.
You get it.
But it's also a fan sport and a fan experience. So that's where I agree with you. I'd like to see something different. I'd like to see the Heat against the Sixers and PJ Tucker for the first time. I'd like to see Durant in Brooklyn. All those series don't start until the turn of the calendar. Really is an odd schedule this season.
Let's see, at least when I bought my tickets to Montreal and Mexico City to see Metallica, it's a 2-night thing, Ira. But on both nights, they played two completely different sets. So see, now I'm getting something different. I'm getting Metallica, but I'm getting two completely different concerts. Now that is a treat. I'm going to hear 40 different songs. I'm on board. But this, I'm not a fan of this, man.
Well, and the thing is,
not a fan of this schedule and scheduling. I don't find it sexy. I just don't think it's an attractive thing for the fan. I think it's kind of boring that you're playing the same team in a couple of nights. What has been the overall opinion of people around the league or other people that you've run into?
well, two things. First of all, what you're talking about is even seeing a concert in different venues. A venue change matters. It used to be in the old days, you'd play in Boston, then in Miami. So you'd get a sense, okay, did we lose because of the home court? Maybe the officiating turned in that direction. Maybe we play Miami, they get the 9 free throws. Bam Adebayo isn't ejected. It's different. So even if the venues were different, there's a different feel to the game. The thought from the players in the league and everyone is the same. God bless it. It reduces the travel. See, what they dance around, Big O, is the fact of this. They talk about reduced travel. But I spoke about it with Kurt Heelan on our RedRecover.com Inside the Paint show on Wednesday. There are too many games. So basically what the NBA is trying to do is they're toying around with the fact there's too many games, so how can we do it? Look, that's the blight of baseball. When it's bad enough, you go see the Marlins, but then you have to see the Pirates for 3 straight nights. No one buys season tickets for baseball anymore because of that. And yet it's sort of the same. Look, it's one thing to have Heat Celtics consecutive games in the same venue. It's a good matchup. It's spicy. But look at what happened to Heat's last homestand. Who the hell wants to see the Charlotte Hornets in consecutive home games? You almost should have to pay fans to come back for a game like that.
Right, exactly. That to me is just, oh, well, it is what it is. We got to live with it, and we'll move on. Your thoughts on Bam, Mr. Quiet, snapping a little bit and snapping at the referees and complaining about the free throws. Not that I really think that's really going to end up making you win the game when it's all said and done, because, that still changes the complexion for the entire game, too, that they might get other free throws, too, along the way if you extend the game that way with more free throws, but whatever.
You know what? I think what it is more, Big O, is a leading man thing. When you're a leading man, you do that. You expect more. So let's look at Bam's last 3 games. He took 20 shots in the Washington win at home, 20 more shots in the Atlanta game. First time in his career he's done that. Last game against Boston, he took 19 shots, right on the cusp there. What I need to see is this. Does that continue when Jimmy Butler returns tonight? Does the bravado with the referees like a leading man continue when Jimmy returns? In other words, Bam has shown on this Miami Heat team he can be a leading man when Jimmy Butler is out. Now we have to see if he can be a leading man when Jimmy Butler is in. Because the bottom line is Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero were the future of this team. So they have to still maintain their leadership when Jimmy and Kyle Lowry are there. Because you know what? It could be as soon as after this season, Kyle Lowry could be gone. Like you've been mentioned, final season, expiring deal, nice match for a major trade. Jimmy Butler getting a little bit older, maybe not the same player. So what I want to see tonight is this. Does Bam Adebayo not defer now that Jimmy Butler is back. Jimmy's very good about making teammates better, but they still look at Jimmy as their leader, whether he's called a captain or not. So I want to see the same Bam I saw in Washington, in Atlanta, against Washington, in Atlanta, and against Boston tonight. That would be heartening. If tonight you look and Bam Adebayo was back to 10, 12 shots, not being as feisty, then all of a sudden you say, hey, is this team ever going to find its stride in its chemistry?
So does Jimmy Butler have to play the Tyreek Hill role from here on out? Tyreek gets here and says, Tua's the guy, man. Tua's the guy. I'd rather play with the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. A lot of you are going to shut up. You're all going to find out, yada, yada, yada. So not that Jimmy has to come out in public and tell us about Bam, but does Jimmy have to go behind the scenes and tell tell Bam, you're the man. Now, you see what you've done while I've been out? I need you to continue to do that. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to help you be that, but you need to take hold of what you've been the last 3 games. How much does Jimmy have to make sure that he tells Bam, hey, you cannot defer to me. I need to defer to you from here on out. How much of that has to take place?
The difference with Tua and Tyreek is they can be complementary. Tua can get his completions because Tyreek's getting the catches. So it works for both of them as a synergy. Sure. With Bam and Jimmy, it can be a little bit of an either or. And Big O, let's be honest. Tonight's game against Boston at TD Garden here is tied 112 with 4 seconds to go. Be honest with me, Big O. Is there any chance at higher than holy hell that Bam Adebayo is the one who takes the final shot?
No, but I don't need him to take the final shot. I told you this already. We talked about this. I need you to carry the load for me, okay? I need Caleb to carry the load for me. I need Tyler to carry the load for me. I need Jimmy to close. I need Jimmy to get me an important stop. I need Jimmy to provide leadership like what I was just talking about. It's not about Bam taking the final shot. It's about Bam carrying the load throughout the game. That's what I want, because your answer is obvious. Yeah. At the end of the game, I want, if it's a 3, I want Tyler or Caleb or somebody else or Struce or somebody taking the shot, not Jimmy. Right. But if it's a 2, then yeah, I want Jimmy with his vice grips, going into the lane and drawing the foul and creating his own type of 3-point play.
So then maybe we'll see it more at the start of tonight's game than the end, when Bam has been very dynamic at the start of games lately. Maybe he's had a 14-point first quarter, 9-point first quarter. Maybe if he has one of those, he gets his rhythm going, like you pointed out, then it's easier for Jimmy to step up and step in when he can. That's the thing. Again, Big O, the last time the Heat starting lineup that should start tonight's game of Bam Adebayo, Caleb Martin, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and Kyle Lowry has started a game was November 1st. So now we're more than a month since we've seen that group. They only were 3 and 4, but at the time he said, they're just getting their legs. There's been a road trip. Right. Well, now we have to see a little bit more, because now we're getting between the quarter point and the midway point of the season. Now I want to see what they can deliver. So yeah, this is important to see the chemistry of that, or to be honest with you, Big O, or not see the chemistry, and maybe have to move Tyler back to the bench. Maybe have to start Max Strus over Caleb Martin so Caleb can be bench energizer. So tonight, not only do I want to see the starting unit, but how does that second unit look now that it's back in place? And I think we'll get closer, because I do think that Victor Oladipo is closer. And the fact that he's on the strip and working out hard, and I know I make promises to you, and I know we don't believe it until we see it, but I think there's a chance that Victor Oladipo, next week when they're back home, could be back on the floor for the Heat. And then we'll have a sense to that second unit.
All right. So, and by the way, the other thing that needs to continue, Tyler's play, man. Tyler's play has been pretty damn good. He had a good game the other night against Boston. That's another guy that I don't want you, although he has that it in him that he's more than enough, about I'll take the shot. He's more about taking over anyway. But I think Jimmy needs to, engulf the flames of Caleb, of Tyler, of Bam. He has to really encourage these guys to really take over and be the identity, and let him, be the guy that's the closer, or the guy you need in key moments for a key pass, a key defensive play. But I think Tyler's another one that, I've been very impressed with his game as of late.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Eric Spoelstra spoke at shoot around today about how Tyler's also moving the ball now, becoming more of a facilitator, growing into that starting lineup. But I'm still not so sure that I wouldn't rather have Tyler be our sizzle scorer because you need one of those also, and you have none of that on the bench. Now, maybe when Max Strus goes back to the bench, maybe when Victor Oladipo comes back, maybe when Gabe Vincent gets healthier, we'll get that balance on the second unit. It won't be as much. But I don't want Tyler to defer too much through the first three quarters and lose really what he does best. But yes, it's great that he's learning to pass. It's great that he had the triple-double. It's great that his pick and roll has been off the charts with Bam Adebayo. But it's got to be more about the Bam and the Tyler chemistry. It has to be the entire starting lineup together. Hopefully we get another taste of that. And first, since we saw that on November 1st, when the Heat played the Celtics tonight, those five starters together.
By the way, we've been impressed with him by the way he carries himself, his maturity. He's got the size for it, and he has shown his moments. Had a really good night the other night. Hayward Highsmith, man. There's a cat that, another guy that they're developing there. And what do you see moving forward as they get healthier? Does it kind of disappear the opportunities for him? Because that was nice to see him perform the other night.
That's the story I wrote at the Sun Sentinel today, that it's been very nice to have these heartening stories of the Hayward Highsmiths and Jamal Cains and Drew Smiths, even Nikola Jovic's when other guys have been out. But now when everyone's back, it's go time. Eric Spoelstra said, look, what Hayward has shown us, he deserves and will have a place in the rotation. I want to see it. The way I look at this Big O is, if you have the five starters I've just mentioned, of Adebayo and Martin and Butler and Hero and Lowry, and off the bench, you're going to wind up probably having to play a center in Dwayne Dedmon most games. You're going to play Max Strus. He's played very well this season. And either Victor Oladipo or Gabe Vincent can be that backup swing guard, depending on health and matchup. So that's 8 right there. They only go 9 deep. So have we reached a point where Hayward Highsmith plays ahead of Duncan Robinson? I think that's going to be the interesting part right now. Maybe Duncan gets out of his funk, starts sizzling with his threes. You stay with that. Although with Max Strus back in the second unit, that's not as essential now, number one. Number two, Hayward Highsmith hits threes. He hit 3 in a row last game against Boston, so we can do that.
4 of
so
6,
I think,
right? Wasn't he 4 of 6?
Yes. So I think the final rotation spot could well come down at the moment to whether it's going to be Duncan Robinson or Hayward Highsmith, although eventually it could just be both Gabe Vincent and Victor Oladipo. Oladipo will have a lot to do with how that factors in.
Yeah, and plus Highsmith is more of a complete player. He just provides everything for you, overall on the defensive side of the court. He's got the body, he's got the toughness. There's a lot to like about that kid, man.
Yes.
Really, it's really, they found a really mature player that can deal with the developmental part of all of this. And
that's why they gave him the 3-year contract last season, because they want to see this project grow. And that's why when everyone said, well, why didn't you cut him? His contract's not guaranteed. His second guarantee is not till December 1st. No, Andy Ellsberg wants this to play out. They think they have, I know it's cliche, but a Miami Heat type of player in Hayward Highsmith.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Being around him, you can tell that he is a pro already.
Absolutely.
At a young age. Very, very impressive with him. All right, what are you doing tonight? So folks can follow you on Twitter and the Sun Sentinel as you cover the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat.
Stories. Just posted a notebook about how everyone is happy that Jimmy's back. They feel whole. That was Eric Spoelstra's quote. He used it in the headline. Spo praised Max Strus. He said, look, when Jimmy was out, he started. When Tyler was out, he started. When Caleb was out, he started. And he said, this guy has just filled in wherever and however we needed him. He also spoke about Dwayne Dedmon's plantar fasciitis and said, look, it's going to be game to game. It's ongoing. He's pushing through when he can. He missed Wednesday. We'll see about tonight. And then that other story I spoke to you about, who gets shoved out of the way right now. And I know there's been a lot of Nikola Jovic talk, but the bottom line is this is go time. This is about Jimmy and about Bam and about Tyler. Everyone else is just where you fill in, so we'll see that also. So I got those two for my Sunday column coming up Sunday at the Sun Sentinel. I talked to Eric Spoelstra about having a youth program going forward with Hero and Adebayo, and he was interesting. He said, yeah, that's all well and good. I'm worried about now. So I spoke about how Spoelstra is trying to balance the moment and balance the future, where the Heat are all about living in the moment.
I'm with you. By the way, really cool stuff by Zoe and Shaq in upgrading the courts and all that stuff.
Yes.
That's good. That's good to see. that stuff take place
in South Beach and what they're doing in their projects. And Zoe even talked about pickleball, so I guess he is getting older.
Yeah. Well, man, that pickleball stuff is exploded all over the damn country. All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat, and of course, catch him twice a week here doing the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA reports, and of course on Wednesdays with the Red Recover Inside the Paint show. Ira, have a safe weekend, my friend. Enjoy the basketball and be safe in your travels.
Talk to you Monday in our Acura Pembroke Pines pickleball report. Talk to you then, Big O. Thanks.
You got it. There you go. Ira Winderman, baby. Pickleball and all.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.